Welcome to Benjamin and Clark, where your well-being is our top concern. How long will this initial consultation be? If you're uncertain, I shall write down the standard 15 minutes of care. Now, what is your primary concern today? You're stressed from work. If your workplace has been putting you under unmitigated stress due to allocation of jobs, roles, and tasks which are outside of your employment contract, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Furthermore, if said business's malpractices have led you to any physical or psychological long-term illness or chronic condition, you may be entitled to further compensation, both through the Federal Fair Work Act and through the Standard Work Health and Safety Occupational Therapy Rehabilitation Program that is assigned to your workplace. Have you yourself experienced any continued health problem associated with your place of employment and the standards under which you are employed? Long-term stress and fatigue. Stress and fatigue are both serious issues and are viewed upon seriously by both legal and health institutions. Therefore, you may have a case for a legal lawsuit or compromise between both partners. Considering this, what is your place of employment and what is your current job and position? And what does that role include? How many hours a day are you on your feet? How many minutes at a time are you on your feet? How many times per hour do you get up out of your seat or are allowed to take a water cooling break? Just from this brief consultation, I can already see that they have violated multiple work health and safety standards. Do you have a preferred course of action? I'm slightly confused by your question. I'm not a licensed masseuse or a meditation guide. I'm not here to provide you with relaxation. I'm here to help solve your problems from your workplace. Well, I'm not employed to help solve your physical problems. I can't give you a massage or provide relaxation. That's not under my job description. You're not looking to sue your employer or come to a mutually beneficial agreement. What are you here for? You find the business environment relaxing. A place which is the antithesis of relaxing is your preferred place to relax. I guess it is possible it makes sense given your personal place of employment, but I still find it extremely odd that you would like to come to a law firm office with highly expensive lawyers to relax, paying minute by minute what to some people is a large or substantial amount of money. You must be well off from your work. How is it that you are assuming you are going to gain relaxation out of this? I'm already almost out of things to say. You just wish to watch me and sit in that chair. You realize you will have to pay for every minute of you being in that chair as you are taking the place for another client. Due to legal issues, you know that I can't let you come and sit in and watch other people's legal cases. So you'll be paying the full amount for the expertise of a lawyer to watch me sit here and do nothing. I've never experienced something like this before, and I don't exactly know how to react. Well, I suppose I could get some of my affairs in order. Well, I suppose I'll go through my supplies. Are you a fan of stationery? Well, I personally find that stationery is one of the most exhilarating parts of life. Here, let me show you. I'll start off with my collection of calligraphy books. Do you know of the Spencerian system of penmanship? This was a widely circulated stand for a long period of time when fountain pens were used widely in America. On the back it says that over 125 million copies were sold in their original editions, and it is no surprise to me, since these textbooks are incredible. Pages upon pages of high quality penmanship instruction. Cannot imagine a better way to spend your time than practicing fountain pen skills. You start off by practicing your slanted line, then move to your convex and concave slanted lines and the connections between. Then through the series of the 5 textbooks you begin to write increasingly more and more complicated sentences and structures. Here, for example, you can see a complicated Spencerian system of penmanship. I think that someone's ability with the pen is one of the best indicators of how interesting of an individual they are. I myself have spent hundreds of hours poring over penmanship tutorials. This is my Wordsworth and Black fountain pen. It's rather special in my heart. Have you ever used a fountain pen before? Well, it is a joy impossible to compare. It has, or comes with, a protective box, as is standard for all fountain pens. A fountain pen in many ways is much greater than a normal ink pen. You can see the engraving, perhaps, if you look very closely, although I do not know if that's possible for you to see, but I can. W.B. Wordsworth and Black. This is the nib. And this section is a line straight across the middle, and said line delivers the ink from the inside and splits with a slight bit of pressure, and this split delivers the ink to the paper. Fountain pens are, of course, highly expensive, and thus that's one of the reasons why you do not purchase a new fountain pen when you run out of ink. You replace the ink, of course. You replace the ink thusly. Rotate the end closest to the nib or the tip. And then you should see the capsule which contains the ink. This capsule is almost devoid of ink, actually, and they simply come out like this. Ink can be delivered to a fountain pen in a variety of ways. However, the main two are through a generic capsule like that. Capsules are purchasable both individually and on bulk, or through a syringe-styled system of injection. And you use something called an ink pot. I shall show you an example. Here it is. Yes. This little instrument is used, and you buy a pot of ink. The more expensive the ink, the better the glide and feel, and that is up to the individual's preference. Now, rotate. Once dunked into the ink, you simply rotate, and this method uses suction to suck up into the capsule. And there you go. This bit here is where the ink is stored, similar to the other capsule, except this part helped suck up the ink from the ink capsule. A simply marvellous idea. I'm not sure who invented this mechanism, but they are a great individual indeed. This is quite a dramatic technological leap from the quill. Perhaps do you know about quills? Well, I can tell you about them if you show interest. A quill is the precursor to a fountain pen. The way a quill works is, perhaps you may have a feather or some sort of other medium which has a nib or a tip at the end, just as the one I showed you on the fountain pen. And you have to dip this, not using a suction device, simply dip the tip of the quill into the ink pot, and the residue ink shall function as your writing ink. There are many reasons why this is not advantageous, drip being one of the primary when writing like this, because to store the ink underneath, the ink is simply hanging with gravity. Another reason is, after every few sentences, you have to re-dip back into the ink pot. But fountain pens, however, increased this technology and made us much more productive as a society. Truly fascinating indeed. Now, what sort of paper or book is most appropriate to use with a quill or fountain pen? Well, a quill is a very old device, and perhaps old-fashioned parchment paper would be appropriate in said situation. However, I think you'll find no finer than a moleskin notebook. I purchase the majority of my personal moleskin notebooks from Beechmore Books, London. They come in a protective case. And here is said moleskin. Now, I won't show you too much inside, as this is my personal journal, but perhaps I can open it at least. I think that journaling is an extremely important daily activity, and it should be legally mandated. But, alas, not the entire universe shares my opinion. Though, once I seize control, journals will be mandated, of course. Now, that was a rather small moleskin. However, of course, they do come in larger sizes. Let me prepare. Now I have a bunch of classic collection hard cover moleskin books. These are larger, and I always keep a few unopened ones for sale. I find that a law firm is a perfect place to sell stationery and supplies of premium value. Now, I can read on the back about the quality of this paper. This is a dotted notebook, 192 pages, a dotted grid layout, acid-free paper, with an expandable inner pocket. And yes, this is still in the plastic. If you desire to purchase it, it would go you a cheap price of perhaps $60. Now, I wonder what else I can show you that you'd be interested in. Well, pencils are a classic to anyone's collection. Faber-Castell, a classic, although I find these days that you can't go wrong with many a brand of pencil. The standard quality for pencils has actually increased dramatically in the last 10 years, though I think with the fall of printmaking and the rise of digital media, this has gone largely unnoticed by the general public. But not me. I would never ever miss a rise or dip in the quality of pencils. Perhaps I can sharpen a few for your relaxation or entertainment. This is a 4B Faber-Castell. Well, I suppose that sharpening another would not hurt. Interesting. This is more entertaining than I had initially conceived. A colored pencil. A lot of people have a prejudice against colored pencils, though they are extremely useful. A colored pencil can make you stand out from your opposition, can easily highlight passages of text, and can separate you from other pen professionals. definitely sufficient in sharpness. Perhaps we shall empty our sharpener. Being paid to sharpen pencils. The most physical labour I've ever done in a job. Green. A disgusting colour. Nonetheless. I have a favourite selection of colours that I keep at home. I have many shades of the same colour that I like, namely grey, brown, another nice bland colour, one that I thoroughly enjoy. Brown to me is a good colour, as it does not resemble anything too exhilarating or exciting, as anything too stimulating can give me hives. Well, this is entertaining indeed. Perhaps you do have some wisdom coming here for relaxation. I can definitely see myself spending some time sharpening my pencils. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Definitely a good use of the day. Of course. What would life be without lead pencils? Lead pencils are one of the few things in life that give me unending joy. I simply cannot resist a lead pencil, be it for a quick hand-written note, a carefully considered architectural drawing, an anatomist's account of the human musculoskeletal system, or an artist's perception of reality. Personally, I find any art with bright colours or happy smiling figures to be revolting. though I do find sharpening pencils quite entertaining. Perhaps I am a fun and joy-loving, carefree individual after all. Another pencil. The only thing as pleasurable as sharpening a pencil is most likely utilizing a pencil. Perhaps annotating a note as to the anticipated evolutionary path of a tree squirrel. Alas, this pencil seems to have a broken lead inside. Of course, you'll understand that I'm using the term lead colloquially, as there is no lead in a lead pencil. No, lead pencils function using graphite. Of course, if you did not know that, I would suggest you go back to elementary school. That's the history of the lead pencil is one of the most foundational historical references in our society. Oh my goodness, I seemed to have found a rare double-headed pencil. Fascinating indeed. What end of this pencil shall I use? I might decide to utilize the sharper end. With a double-headed pencil, there are always so many options. An 8B. Fascinating. Looking at the sharpness of some of these pencils, I assume that they could perhaps be used as a formidable weapon against an unwitting bystander. Of course, I would never do such a thing. That would likely land me in legal trouble, which would be a hard one to settle in my favor. Well, it seems that your relaxation time here is coming to a close, but I do value the time that we spent together. It was incredible to be able to meet you. Yes, well, I think I'll keep in mind the things that we learned today. Thank you for alighting my passion of lead pencils yet again. Perhaps we will meet on a personal basis sometime or other, and we will be able to sharpen pencils together, and you can go through your stationery collection with me. It truly sounds most entertaining. Now, you must leave before my next client enters. I hope this has been relaxing to you. This has been extremely and intensely joyful and exhilarating for me. My heart is racing. Please visit the receptionist on the way out to finalize any payments. Goodbye, and thank you for choosing Benjamin and Clark.